Hello, world. Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Darcy here. Today on the Bonsai balcony, we are enjoying ourselves one beautiful fall day in Alameda, California, on the San Francisco Bay. It's like the water's just like right over there. It is a beautiful fall day, and in a lot of ways, we're kind of feels a little like set it and forget it mode. But we do have things to do in fall. I've been talking a few weeks for the last couple of weeks, the anticipation of fall colors, fall trim to the bald cypress, and a little wood carving. So we still have that ahead of us. But today, I'm going to focus more on Japanese black pine stuff in the fall. What we have to do, what do we do? What's going on with our Japanese black pine come fall? Do we have things going on with those guys? It's a good time to do certain things when it comes to for one thing, feeding. It's time for the trees that we cut back on, the trees that we decandled. It's time to start feeding them again. So for me, that's pretty easy. I don't go too berserk. I just start doling out the biogold. And now, this is also a great time to check the rest of my trees too, because I have been shuffling stuff around, and those little nuggets, not only do they get used up, but when I move trees around, they also get knocked around. It's like some of these ponderosas have lost their little food supply. So, but all of the guys that are in bonsai pots that got decandled, that were not getting fed in mid-spring and in summer, and are now looking a little yellow in some cases. Whoops. I'll find that one later. Here, there's yet another shot at it. It's time to start feeding those guys again. So that's what you see me doing here. There are a lot of trees for which fall is the time when you start feeding again. Start feeding again. As in, this is actually, if you want to look at it like that, this is the beginning of the year for our trees. If you were growing flowers, or you were growing vegetables or something, then you might actually start in winter in the greenhouse, or set up a grow light in the living room and start your tomatoes that way, so that when their season starts in spring, you might already have a month or two in, and then pluck those puppies outside whenever whenever the appropriate time that you can do that without them freezing. And then you've already got a head start on the year. That's a super way to do it, in the way that I did it a lot of times when I was doing that kind of thing. But when it comes to our trees that can outlive us, those guys, they start their year in fall. And you can look at any part of a year and say, well, this is when the year starts. In a way, yeah, that's true. But by start the year, I mean, we're feeding now so that we can feed the roots. This time of year is when the roots begin to grow. And what happens in spring hinges off of what happens in fall with our root growth. So come spring, if we want to see new growth, that's the tree saying, I have enough resources to maintain what I did last year. and add to it. And if we want that, well, actually, whether we want it or not, feeding is the way to keep them happy and healthy. And what we're doing right now is for the roots, but that will also give us foliar mass and everything else come spring, because what we get out of foliar mass and everything else come spring. Here, I'll give you some too, even though this is the pine show. And the same reason we do that is so all of that energy generated by the roots that got fattened up, that grew and did all of that wonderful stuff. That's where our foliar mass and our spring growth comes from. So one leads to the other, and also you can typically see on your older refined pines that have been off of their food since late spring, they should get a little help greening up now. This should be the little moment where things get just a little easier and a little better for them. I think everybody has, boom, at least one. And I think I may have put 3 too many down on that. We'll go back and look in a minute. So that's one thing. Also, there is something else. We may still have buds, so we would have done bud selection a little while ago, right? And when we did that, we would have clipped those buds. And depending on how your weather is where you live, and depending on how the health of your trees and stuff, like if they're vigorous and they're well fed, it could be flushing out with more buds even yet. So this is also a good time, and I'll probably be doing that on our night shows. In the next couple of nights, we'll probably go through our Japanese black pines, neaten them up, and see where they are on their bud counts. Have we had new buds come up where we don't really need any, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's what's got us there. Keep going, Pat. You're doing great. All right, so we'll just move over here, and this tree was I had it in take it easy recovery mode over a debacle we had a year ago. So the idea to me was just to go through and restore its energy, right? So it never stopped getting fed, but we have just now gotten to the point to where its last round of food was starting to be pretty broke up. So we threw down some fresh. Now, this guy has been doing everything it was supposed to do. It's been doing a great little tree. Pat comes along and thins the needles a little too much. So it's coming back. It's coming back and looking nice, though. I like the way it's coming back. And also, I used guy wires to pull all those branches down. But it's been going without its kibble for quite some time. So it's a great time. It's a great time to be feeding that one. And there it goes. While we're here, I haven't had the ponderosa long enough for too many rounds of biogold to go through the tree. But man, I love this tree. This branch needs to hook back and go that way, or no? Like maybe like midway and then bend it back the other way. I don't know why I don't see this stuff all at once. It just kind of, by the time you do it 100 times, you start seeing all of this stuff all at once. Here you go, maple. We need to throw some more your way, and that dawn redwood coming to you. But that's our little spill. Right now, what I'm doing is going through and feeding, mostly making sure, and I'm talking about all the care about black pines, and that's the point to it, is that all of the black pines that were in bonsai pots that got decandled and got and also got their needles thin, and they've been off of food since late spring. now is the time to put them back. Put them back on the gravy train. They get to get food again, and that should help those guys green up a little more. So that's our little spill on fall work. If you noticed, if you were paying attention while I was doing that, I also fed my maples. I also fed my dawn redwood. I also will be. Oh, I never stop throwing food to these guys. They get fed year round. I could probably go. I could probably go a little hot and heavy with fertilizers on these guys, but I don't know that for sure. I don't, you know, a lot of the things that I would worry about if I were feeding my cypresses, I don't think are an issue with. I don't have to worry about them stretching because that's kind of what they do anyway. And I don't think I would have to. I don't have to worry about screwing up their bloom cycle or something because they don't have a bloom cycle. They're not wisterias or nothing. So this might be something that if a little research, and I might could speed things along if I put these guys on some kind of high nutrient cocktail. But they are doing very well, and the amount I'm learning and the speed at which I'm learning it, and also the speed of mistakes, means that I think that we're both progressing. It's like I figure out what I'm supposed to do just before it's too late, which is fine by me. I'll take that better than too late any day. All right, that's going to conclude our little wrap up on what I consider to be some pine maintenance. I didn't go on enough about checking the needles. And but this is also the time to do cleanup work. This is also a time to do wiring and bending on trees. Some people say that if you've done the candles on them, wait till November. Some people say if you, and by that same token, if you haven't, then you can start bending black pines in September. That has to do with sap flow. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm not going to pretend to know exactly why that is. But I just read that today, actually. And thank you, Peter T. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. We're going to probably start bringing in a few little Japanese black pines in the next couple of days, and see how they are on their old needles, and see where they stand on their bud count after that would have already been addressed once. Also, this would be a good time to maybe go through and prune back some of these shoots that are too long and see which shoots that have suffered dieback or budding and which we could clip to try to induce some more budding if they're leafless little twigs. But that's more about our cork bark oak, whereas our California oak, it is fleshing out with shoots all over it, just like it's still spring. It doesn't go as fast as the cork bark, but it doesn't stop. It just kind of does that for much longer in the season. We're going to let those continue to grow out and elongate. They're not really stretching too much. We can still use what they're making back closed even when we do cut it back. Whereas these things, they look really usable now, but in a minute, all of those little spaces in between the branches will start elongating now. There I go, talking about oaks again. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And Frida, Reba, Darcy appreciates you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.